Hello, I'm Ayla Glass, and I will be your host for this year's 2013 Kansas City Film Festival. The festival goes on April 10th through 14th at the beautiful Alamo Drafthouse Theater here at 1400 Main Street in Kansas City, Missouri. For more information, check out kcfilmfest.org for tickets and showtimes. All right, I am here with the director of We Are Superman, the film that premiered tonight at the Kansas City Film Festival. Kevin, how was the audience's reaction to the film tonight?
It turned out really well. I think everybody liked it a lot. Yeah.
I personally, it was the music, the way it was shot, it was very emotional, especially towards the end. What was it like for you filming that and seeing these people going through these like really personal stories?
There were times where I was definitely kind of caught up in just the editing and getting it kind of technically right and everything. But then there would be moments where I would kind of pull away and I'd be sitting there and it would really hit me, kind of the theme and what was being said and what was being done. And I mean, there were moments at editing where it was just, I had kind of some powerful inspiration. So.
And you talked about it a little bit in the Q&A, but can you kind of shortly recap what kind of made you start making this documentary? What led you on this path down that you...
I essentially moved to Kansas City for school, and I learned quickly of the divide. It wasn't hard to see when I was taking the bus every day to school. And I was just kind of curious as to why it was the way it was. So when I graduated, I got a job on Troost at 31st, and I moved to the area, and got to know a lot of the people working to transform it. Mm-hmm. So the film came out of that.
Yeah, fantastic. And where is the film going to go from here? What is your where do you see it going? Are you going to go more festivals? Are you going to continue screening around Kansas City?
Well, we are waiting on 3 festivals so far. And then we're really going for a theater run in Kansas City this summer. We're not sure how that's going to happen yet, but we're exploring a lot of different options. So. And
tell me about the choice of the wooden box in the documentary.
Well, essentially, we wanted everyone who we interviewed to wear the cape at the end of the film, but we didn't want them to know what they were going to be putting on. So we needed essentially some way to hide the cape, and that's how it started. Uh-huh. So we put the cape in this box, and then the box kind of became the symbol of transformation for the area. So we had we put the box throughout the city and just started filming it, and it worked out as this kind of great visual for change coming to the area.
Yeah, it was a very powerful moment, and so none of the people who opened the box knew what was going to be inside?
Nobody knew. No, everyone, all we said was, there's something inside that we want you to put on. It's kind of light, like don't worry about it. And so that was all they knew. And so, it's an authentic reaction we get from each person.
Well, it was a great moment, and it was a wonderful documentary. Like I said, it was very touching. I think a lot of the audience really were affected by it, and it's so great that you can kind of capture this moment in Kansas City's history, because it's kind of a sign of big things coming, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think there's a move coming.
Uh-huh. Well, thank you so much. Best of luck to you, and We Are Superman. It's going to be have a second screening later in the festival. Check out kcfilmfest.org for more details. We just got out of the screening of We Are Superman. I'm here with Christopher Cook, one of the producers on the film. Christopher, what was it like being a part of such a unique documentary in Kansas City?
Both moving, energizing, and exhausting, at a lot of different points because of the fact that it's an independent production, but it's a production about Kansas City and about the community that we all live in, whether we want to think we live in a different community or not. Seeing the stories unfold and then trying to tell that story in a way that will engage people, but doing it all on the side with no budget, just pouring hours into it. It was energizing and exhausting at the same time. It's a passion project that became a very big passion project.
I mean, it was an amazing film. It was very moving. I was moved by it. I almost started crying at the end, I'm not going to lie. I loved the use of the capes at the end. It was fantastic. Whose idea was that? You or Kevin?
That was all Kevin. Kevin is the director. He is the idea man. He is the one who said, I have this story and I want to tell it. I've just been making videos for the last a lot of years, and I helped make that vision a reality. That's how I helped. I helped guide the story a little bit, but it was his story that he wanted to translate through the film. So he had a lot of incredible ideas, and the cape was his.
So for those who are going to see this, who are kind of like, what is this movie about? What is going on with 31st and Truce? What is kind of a little soundbite that you can give us that's going to entice the audience to want to come and check out this amazing documentary?
Well, if you're interested in learning about Troost, it's kind of the story of Kansas City. The film talks about the history of Troost, which most people have heard of as a place to, shy away from. But the film talks about the reality of Troost, the reality of communities, and the slow work that people in the community are taking on to turn it back into a place of gathering when historically it's been a place of division.
Well, it's a fascinating documentary, fascinating work, and we are so glad to have you here at it's your world premiere, correct?
Correct. In some quotation marks. So we had a 53 very different version of the film that we showed a couple of times, but this is a very different film. There's some very different interviews in it, so this is the first time anybody's seen it, and we're very proud of it.
Well, fantastic. You can check out the film schedule on kcfilmfest.org to find out when We Are Superman will be screening. Again, you can also go to wearesuperman.com. Is that correct?
We Are Superman - the movie. The simplest way is to go to the Facebook page. That's what we update most. Facebook.com/wearesuperman.
Fantastic. So definitely check it out. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you very much.
All right, I am here with Chris Bylsma. He has a short called Lift in the festival that will be running during the Crimes of Passion short program. So tell me a little bit about your film and all the titles that you are involved with.
Well, Lift is it's a story of three best friends, I suppose, and where things go wrong when they are faced with kind of the tough choices that everybody faces in one way or another. And I was one of the actors. Produced it as well, and I adapted some of it as well from a screenplay of a friend of mine who said he wanted. It was made for a production in Ireland, and he said he wanted to do it here if I wanted to do it. So we got it together and made it happen.
Ireland, how did that kind of all come about?
That's just what he told me. He had the script, and he sent it to me, and there was a lot of Irish stuff in it, and I said, I'd love to do that, but I can't really sell Kansas City as Ireland very well. So he agreed to let me go ahead and adapt it, and of course he okayed it. Yeah, it worked out.
Fantastic. And this is your first short in the festival, is that correct?
This is the first one, yeah, and then I've got a couple of other ones in the Heartland Narrative block of films. So.
Fantastic. And what days are the Crimes of Passion Shorts program screening?
Crimes of Passion is Wednesday night at 8:35 tonight, Thursday night at 9:30, I want to say, and Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Well, so people have plenty of time to check it out. It sounds like a good shorts block. I mean, Crimes of Passion, it sounds juicy, right?
It is. It is.
Look at that face. You better go see it. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
I am here with Todd Norris. He was the director of photography on one of the local short films that is in the Kansas City Film Festival, The Rest of Her by Tim and Jennifer Friend. Tell us a little bit about the story of the film.
Well, I don't want to give too much away because, if you talk about the story of a short film, then you give it all away. But I know it's about a guy who finds a Build-A-Girl box at a thrift store, and he builds the girl, and then it's what happens after that. So that's all I'll give away.
Mysterious. Sounds like many a guy's dream, maybe.
Right. Yeah, and I guess without giving too much of away, it is the guy's dream, and he doesn't do the right thing. He's kind of he makes a dumb decision that the rest of men probably wouldn't make, and then he pays the consequences.
And something unique about this film was that it was actually premiered during one of the staged readings of the Kansas City Film Festival last year that was put on by the Kansas City Women in Film.
That's right. From what I understand is that Tim and Jen wrote it together, and then since I've worked with them before, they approached me to shoot it. And, I'm always game for shooting that's got some kind of sci-fi or fantasy element, so there was no way I could say no. And I think it turned out pretty well.
And they're definitely experts at that. So everyone's very excited to see that film. I know I am. Thank you so much for coming by and talking to us today. Hi, I'm here at the Kansas City Film Festival with whiskasciszek. He is the director of the documentary Hit and Stay that is premiering tonight on Wednesday, 8:45, and it also has additional screenings later that you can check out at kansascityfilmfest.org. Tell us a little bit about this fascinating story.
I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and the film sort of starts with the Catonsville Nine, who are legendary in Baltimore, and my producer slash co-director, Joe Trapea, was writing his master's thesis on the Catonsville Nine and decided in the process to make a documentary, and we're buddies, so he roped me in. And as we made this film, we discovered that the Catonsville Nine was just the beginning of the story, that there were several actions after the Catonsville Nine all over the country that we didn't know about. And so suddenly the film took on a whole new life, and had we never found that out, we probably would have finished 3 years earlier.
So for those who don't know what the Catonsville Nine is, can you kind of describe what that situation was?
Sure. In 1968, May of 68, 9 Catholics, some of them priests, some of them former nuns, walked into the Catonsville, Maryland draft board, took a whole bunch of draft files, went out into the parking lot, poured homemade napalm on them, lit them on fire, and then stood there praying, waiting to be arrested so that they could go to trial, knowing that it would be a big news story and it would draw attention to their opposition to the war. And up until that point, the anti-war movement was mostly kind of scruffy college kids protesting the draft. These were middle-aged clergy, and it suddenly brought middle America. It attracted their attention, and it made more normal people say, hey, maybe there's something to being against this war than we thought about before.
That's fascinating. And not only are you the director of this film, you're also a guest artist here at the festival. You're going to be on several panels, including crowdfunding, and also, I made this film, now what do I do with it? Are these subjects that you've worked on a lot? I know that you do a lot of film festivals. It's kind of a career for you at the moment.
Yeah, I'm in the nice position where I get to see the film festival world from both sides, as an organizer and as a filmmaker. And as a filmmaker, I've had to figure out what to do with films after they're done, and I've also had to crowdfund to get films made. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to these panels. I don't think I've spoken publicly yet on either of those subjects in a while, at least. Never about crowdfunding, because it didn't exist the last time I was on a panel. So.
Yeah, that's definitely something that is really new in the independent film scene, is all these Kickstarters and Indiegogos. And did you have to incorporate any of that while you were making Hit and Stay?
Yes, we did Kickstarter. We kind of got in on Kickstarter when it was still early, when it was still sort of a novelty, before everybody you knew had a Kickstarter campaign. And we did, I think, a 2-month campaign and raised over $20,000. And yeah, that helped us out a lot. I mean, we couldn't have finished the film without it. It wasn't like we were going to get funding elsewhere. I mean, we got a few grants and stuff, but it wasn't like some company was going to write us a check to make a documentary about anti-war activists from Vietnam.
That's unfortunate, but true. These days, there's so many people trying to make so many great projects. All these crowdfunding sources have been so helpful. What are you excited about to see at the festival? Are there any documentaries that you're particularly looking forward to?
Oh, I'm going to get the names wrong, but I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary about the backup singers. I forget what it's called. And I'm looking forward to seeing, again, I forget the name, the film about Johnny Cash and a guy's relationship with Johnny Cash. And I'm sure if I looked at the program book, there's a few more. I've already seen quite a few, because I'm on the jury also. So I've already watched a few films and have seen some great work.
Sure. We do have a whole cinema jazz section of the festival, so we have a lot of music incorporated with the festival as well. It's something unique to the Kansas City Film Festival. Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. We are so happy to have Hit and Stay at the festival, and we're so happy to have you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Hope you had a wonderful evening listening to the interviews with some of our amazing filmmakers that are joining us this year. To find out more information, go to kcfilmfest.org for schedules of all the screenings for the rest of the week.